Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Sydney this morning. Now, first and foremost, before I go into this, I want to thank you guys for all the emails you send me, and there are a lot of topics and it is difficult to get through them all. I will eventually get through them all, so hold tight on this. Now, you may be wondering why I am doing a video about an email from a female subscriber. Well, I get a lot of articles from you guys, but this was a particularly interesting topic. All right, because this is something you typically don't expect. Now the email says this: I just wanted to say you're doing a great job. I really wish more women would listen to guys like you and learn something. I wanted to ask you one thing: are you monk or do you pump and dump? To me, pump and dump is kind of adding to the situation. Men complain about women being trashy and sleeping around, yet pump and dumpers just want sex from women. Isn't that turning women into or allowing them to be sluts? So men are giving women permission to be sluts. To me, men need to take back control of these females and make them act like real ladies with respect for themselves, then maybe they'll respect men more. I hear a lot of women say men just want one thing. Well, if you're giving it to them, then yes, that's all they want. Very, very, very interesting point. And I guess I wanted to address a few of the elements in this once I get back on the motorway. All right, I'm back with you guys. So, you know, first of all, there's the whole issue of pump and dump versus monk, right? And I would say that those are two. Look, there's so many different elements to this. I don't even know where to start. So obviously, monk is probably the easiest way to avoid any female-based headaches. Even then, I know someone who basically his ex-wife was trying to demonize him to the point where he ended up leaving the country earlier than his plans suggested. But you know, if he'd been monk before, then he wouldn't have had an ex-wife, and therefore she wouldn't have been around to do that to him. So I guess fundamentally, monk is the safest principle by which to abide. Then you've got pump and dump, right? Now, that's probably a lot easier for most guys, right? Because, you know, we need to nut once in a while, you know what I mean? Just, if you want to call me the chipmunk, then you know what I'm saying? And it's tough, right? Because I think fundamentally through all of human history, one of the amazing things about human intimacy and female intimacy is, you know, that connection that you have with a person, right? That closeness. Now, sadly, society and the way that it encourages women to have so much sexual agency that they don't have respect for themselves is really negatively impacting that. And then of course you've got Me Too, and you've got divorce laws, and you've got common law marriage laws that basically screw dudes over if they're in that kind of connection for too long. By the way, I want to say hello to all of you, but a special g'day to Magi Alpha 1. Dude, that was an absolutely incredible video that you sent to Men 101 the other day, the one that he sponsored. It was basically a woman in IT who has an IT company who was saying that, you know, women aren't as good programmers as guys, and they're just not as dedicated. And she actively tried to hire a woman, but she couldn't because, you know, her company was going to suffer financially otherwise. So go and check that out on Men 101's channel. A woman doesn't want to hire other women, and that's thanks to Magi Alpha 1. Back to the topic though. Sorry, it's got sesame seeds in my teeth from my breakfast. So yeah, basically you've got monk, which it's difficult to do because we have urges as men, but it's the safest way. Then you've got pump and dump, which means you don't get into any common law marriages, you don't get into a legal marriage, you don't find yourself having your time and energy and ambitions sapped by someone who's needier than what you really have space for in your life. And then you've got long-term relationships, which is essentially the third one. And there's two types of long-term relationships. Well, I mean, no one enters into a relationship going, oh, this is going to be a short-term relationship. So let's just call all relationships that aren't just casual one-off sex or going monk and not having sex at all long-term relationships for the purpose of this video. So long-term relationship, right? What does that actually entail? Typically entails, being in a committed one-on-one partnership with another person. Whether that be male or female, depending on whether you're male or female and whether you're gay or straight. But I guess the concepts are fundamentally the same. Now, if you've got a situation whereby you are in a relationship where you have got a girlfriend, typically speaking, you'll have a lot less free time than you used to. And don't say that you don't, because we know this is the truth. You have a lot less free time than you used to. Like, well, why do you have less free time? Because, women are emotionally connected creatures. And when they are emotionally connected, then typically speaking, they're more about people than about things. And Jordan Peterson talks about this, right? That's why there's more men in STEM fields. That's why there's more women in the hospitalities and the nursing industries. Right? It's not because of sexism, it's because of free choice. So now you've got a situation where, like us guys, right? We're interested in typically, right? Not always, typically more interested in physical things and starting businesses and understanding how concepts work and learning about things like cryptocurrency, which is why so many more men did very well out of cryptocurrency compared to women. That is why you got so many guys in STEM fields. That's why you've got so many guys that love working on their cars and motorbikes on the weekends. So many guys that, love working with their computers and doing really technical stuff, right? Typically you have less money to spend on yourself because, she'll say, oh, babe, I really want to go out this weekend. Can we go out somewhere and have dinner? It's like, sure, you go out, you have dinner, and most of the time you're going to be the one paying for it, right? So you've basically been suckered in to giving up your time. You've been suckered in to, paying for the dates that she wanted to begin with, mind you. You were happy sitting at home and just chilling with a like $4 oven-baked pizza that would have done you for the next 2 days, you know what I'm saying? Some of us have more elaborate palettes and want something a bit more fancy, and that's cool. And there are lots of cheap ways, like, to have a couple of days worth of chicken and salad and vinegar dressing and feta and cherry tomatoes. Like, you can make the most amazing salads very, very cheaply that will blow your mind. Plus, I'm just saying there's cheap ways to make even really delicious meals quickly. You don't have to go out for it. But I understand that women love that sort of romantic interaction and going out to dinner, typically speaking. And you see this all the time. Even when you go out somewhere and you walk past a restaurant, often you'll find it's the girls that are dressed up more than the guys because they actually really love to make an occasion of it. And speaking of making an occasion of things, on this occasion of this video, smash that thumbs up, guys. I've only got half of you. Come on, you can do better than that, and make sure you share this video afterwards to people that need to see it. So there's that. What was the other little element here? So yeah, isn't guys that for me, this is a bit of a chicken and the egg kind of argument, right? Or more a chicken and the egg type of discussion. We say, you know, if men are enabling women to be sluts by way of pumping and dumping and casual sex, right? Then isn't that enabling women to be sluts? And well, logically speaking, yeah, it kind of is. But there's more to it than that. Because, you know, let's say, okay, we like sex, right? We're guys, we like sex. Typically speaking, we do. That's why it's so difficult to go monk. That's why so many of us fall into the trap of being a walking wallet, purely for the purpose of getting sex. And by the way, I did a really good video on being a walking wallet yesterday, so go and check that out. Give that a thumbs up as well. And so it's not very easy for guys to say no to sex with someone that we find physically attractive, and we men are more visual creatures. We tend to want to have sex with women that are visually attractive to us. Of course, there's the element of connection as well, and I think particularly as you get a little bit older, there is almost a requirement of substance in personality when a woman gets a little bit older and is maybe, you know, modest in appearance and not just like that super hot girl where you're like, oh man, I would take her home if she let me. And when you get this kind of dynamic, essentially women are the gatekeepers, right? Women are the ones that say yes or no. Women are the ones that open the legs or keep them shut. And it's a lot, you know, there's this age-old question. You know, if you call women that sleep around sluts, what do you call men that sleep around studs? And why is it a double standard? Well, let me tell you why we call men that sleep around a lot studs. Because it is not easy to bang lots of chicks. It's very easy for a girl to bang lots of dudes. She can just jump on Tinder, just keep swiping right till she runs out of likes, and then she'll be able to find some dude who is like, she's like, hey, you know, you're kind of hot. You know, what are you doing tonight? Straight away, he knows what's up, right? He knows that she's DTF. And I'd be like, oh, I'm free. What about you? She'll be like, yeah, you know, maybe we should hang out. And it's on, right? Like it's straight away, it's on, right? But like, that's if the girl is like, I just want easy sex and I don't care, right? Which is not very often at all. So then we flip that argument on its head, right? Flip that on its head. And we say, well, you know, guys throwing it out there all the time. You know, oh, hey, you know, how you doing? And girls will ignore them, or they'll tell them to fuck off, or they'll call them a creep, or they'll block them. And look, if you're approaching a chick the wrong way, then you've probably been raised by a single mother, or you've been listening to advice from other women on relationships, because obviously you don't understand the art of attraction, right? You're just playing a numbers game, and a numbers game is just going to get you very low numbers. It's like, if you're a salesperson in a store, right, you don't walk up to customers and say, oh, hey, do you want to buy this? Because they're going to be like, yeah, I'm just looking. But if you're like, oh, hey, how you doing? I noticed you were checking out this TV. Is there anything you'd like to know about it? Right? Or, did you know that this has this? Or, hey, I noticed that you're looking at the most stylish TV in the house. And I also noticed that you're dressed pretty stylishly. So it seems to me that you two are a match already, referring to her and the TV, for example, right? That would be a cool way to start a convo, right? That gets attention. That builds attraction from the get-go. It builds that connection. So women don't need to build connection with a dude in the same way that dudes need to build connection with a woman, right? If a woman wants sex, she goes on Tinder and she gets it. If a man wants sex, he goes on Tinder and has to work for it and hope for the best. And maybe, just maybe, if he's really good looking, he might get laid. Whereas even fat, really average and sloppy looking women can get laid very, very easily. I've seen this time and time again. So, you know, who started being promiscuous first? Who started giving it up first? Well, I would say that men were the ones that were always offering it up, right? As part of the
In 3 kilometers, take the Horsley Drive.
Yes. By the way, guys, yes, I do know the way to work, but it's just good if there's any accidents, it re-diverts me around traffic. And you know, Henry Cavill recently said, he's a Superman actor. He said, "Well, I don't want to go and talk to a woman because I'm going to be called a rapist or something." And you know, maybe that's more of a statement of fact rather than a subjective concern, but it is nonetheless a valid concern, because in this day and age, women can be called rapists, right, for doing the wrong thing, right? Very, very easily. Right, well, did I say women can be called rapists? Men can be called rapists for doing the wrong thing, right? And that could be that's a good point there, Latvia. Superman's gone MGTOW. I should write an article on that, put up on my website. Yeah, so unfortunately Superman got a load of backlash. But yeah, so look, you know, mug is the safest way, but it's not easy. Pumping up is the easiest way, but it's not safe. And relationships, the stakes are a lot higher, and it's harder to get into one with someone who will actually stay with you. And you know, you really actually need to have an extremely strategic plan. Plus, you've got to have your masculinity on point at all times. Plus, you need to understand the women. Plus, you need to have the hold of the power dynamic. And it's not so you can control her and subjugate her, all this stuff that feminists claim that men do. The reason for it is that if you don't have that dynamic where you are the leader in the relationship, then it's going to come unstuck very, very quickly. And there's this thing that my buddy Stand Up Man talks about, and I also talk about, and I've spoken about this in previous videos, the betification scale, right? So that's where basically you start as the alpha in the relationship, and she starts as, you know, the beta, sort of like the more submissive one, and then over time become more and more accommodating and more lovey-dovey, and more, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and you become more and more beta. She becomes more and more alpha. The dynamic switches. But this dynamic doesn't work. This dynamic works. This dynamic doesn't work. Because if that happens, right, if that dynamic gets flipped over time because you allowed it to, because you constantly say yes when you should be saying no, right? Because you're telling her you love her when you should be shutting your mouth and making her work for it, right? And look, if a woman doesn't want to work for it, she won't, right? But we've forgotten the dynamics of relationships. We've forgotten evolutionary dynamics of relationships and attraction and connection, right? It's all been thrown out the window with all this feminist bullshit, right? And when I say feminist bullshit, I mean the stuff where they're literally just making it up and saying, oh, you know, patriarchy, men have, you know, oppressing women by exercising their power over them. It's like, man, you think that women don't have power over us with their pussy? That's the ultimate power, right? And that's why the safest way is going monk, because that's where you're taking the power out of their hands, right? But while she's got that and you've got that and it's going in, there's going to be problems, you know what I'm saying? There's serious problems if you let go of the reins. You cannot become complacent in a relationship. Part of taking the red pill is understanding how these relationship dynamics work. Part of it is understanding how human connection and human dynamics work, right? And that's why these guys at RSD, Real Social Dynamics, are so fascinating and so on point, because they absolutely nail evolutionary social dynamics. So and look, you know, I could speak for hours on this topic, seriously. This topic of you know, pump and dump and monk and what's the best option, and you know, are we not creating, you know, are we not creating harm to the population by everyone going monk? Are we not creating slutty women by, you know, endorsing pump and dump? But there's two sides to every story. There's multiple sides to every story, actually. And I don't know. Where do you go from there, right? And Homer Simpson, my man, says, my dad always told me, don't get a lady who doesn't know how to cook, clean, wash clothes, and be clean. That is 100% correct. Cook. We know how to wash clothes and be clean. Why would we not expect the same standards of a woman that we're in a relationship with? Right? And look, seriously, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care if someone says, well, it's a double standard that I have to shave my underarms and you don't. It's like, well, you don't have to, but just accept that that's going to limit your choices in the dating pool. Well, you know, I'm not going to shave my legs and I'm not going to shave, you know, the hairy bits of my body because, you know, men tell me I should do that, because that's just, you know, a double standard and that's sexist and I shouldn't have to, you know, people should love me for me. It's like, well, okay, if you want people to love you for being hairy all over and not very feminine looking, then that's fine, right? Being feminine is not a social construct, right? Being feminine is being feminine. It is having attributes typically attributed to being a woman. Men need to do a much better job vetting women, right? Mark Rudolph is a perfect example of someone who has good vetting processes. He knows exactly what he's doing, although he does pump and dump, from what I understand. Right? When in a relationship, if a man budgets their money, it's considered abusing the woman, controlling the spending. Exactly, and we're hearing this now a lot. Oh, financial abuse. Oh, you know, financially abusing me. Oh, you know, I'm so oppressed. Fuck out of here. Right? If you want to have control of the finances, then how about you create the finances? How about you earn the money to be able to finance yourself? Because, you know, when we talk about financing something, we talk about providing the money for it. It's like, well, okay, if you want to finance something, then perhaps you should provide the money and not expect someone else to provide it. Right? So basically, financial abuse to the modern woman is just, oh, he didn't buy what I wanted him to buy, so therefore he's financially abusing me. Really? What a joke. Right? And the reality is, right, when it comes down to all of this, there's a number of reasons why women are getting pumped and dumped. There's reason A, because they're wanting casual sex. Reason B, because guys don't want to be in a committed relationship because of risks. There's reason I started thinking about coffee and my train of thought went straight out the window, man. Anyway, in case I haven't mentioned it in this video, this is what masculinity looks like, men. You better believe it. That's what I've got to say about this topic, masculinity. That was a nice car, same wheels as me. What was the third reason that women... Okay, so the first reason that women are being more promiscuous is because they want to. Second reason is because men are pumping and dumping. I guess there's just no consequences for them. Seriously, absolutely no consequences at all. And you know, they're having sex with the guys that they want to have sex with, But what is the incentive? And everything comes back to motivation life. What is the incentive for a man to actually stay with a woman? What's the incentive? Is there money in it for them? Is there time in it for them? Is there reaching their goals? Is there, you know, and if a woman is preventing a man from reaching their goals, having time and having money for the things that are important to them, then that woman is useless to a man. I'm not saying she's useless as a person. I mean, she might, you know, serve several useful functions in society, but within the context of that conversation, useless as a person for that purpose. So what's the next bit, right? The next bit is that unless a woman is contributing something that a man needs that he can't do for himself, or that he likes someone else doing for him, there's no benefit. It's like, okay, let's use the making lunch example, just for traditionalism's sake, right? If you were to say have a partner who regularly cooks your lunch or regularly makes you dinner, and that's something you're not particularly good at, right? And you work hard during the day and you need food and sustenance, and if it wasn't for that, then you'd be getting takeaway every day, right? Then that woman is not only giving you nutrition, right, which is of value to you and to your body and to your health, right? That's important. She's giving you nutrition. And the second thing is that she's giving you, hopefully, companionship and sex. And the third thing is that she's actually giving you time back. Rather than taking of your time, she's actually giving your time back. So she's then saying, she's contributing her time for your companionship, and you're giving your companionship for her time so that you can get your time back. You know what I mean? Everything's sort of working together really well. And, you know, guys, it is becoming increasingly harder, near next to impossible, to find a woman that, you know, my dad said to me once, my dad's a very intelligent man. I love my dad. My dad said to me once, said, I'm just trying to think of how exactly it was that he phrased it. He said something along the lines of, son, you just need to find someone that you get along well enough with to be able to live happily together, relatively happy together for the next 40 or 50 years without arguing too much. Words of wisdom from my dad. Words of wisdom. Unfortunately, those words of wisdom were derived from his experience in the dating scene from when he was young. He's in his 70s now. So, you know, things have changed a lot since then. And Gary Bentley just said, I live in America and women here, for the most part, are terrible. I would not marry one. No thanks. And you shouldn't get married, guys. It's a really bad idea legally and financially. There's no benefit to you whatsoever. There's nothing that you can get from marriage that you can't get from a relationship if you're going to choose to be in a relationship. All right, guys. And by the way, Ralph Wiggum, thank you so much for that generous $3 donation. I did see it come through before, but I was mid-flow, so I didn't want to kill it. Good to see you as well. Janitor's Wigtail, Second Chance, MGTOW Farmer. Timothy Manska says, a man is disposable to women. It is becoming more and more that way, but there are still women that value men and value masculinity. And I think if more women watch this channel, then they would start to understand where the dynamics have gone wrong. Taz, my man, the monk, good to see you, Taz. Respect that, brother. What else we've got in the box here? Laffy, I mentioned you before, man. And again, thanks to Magi Alpha One. Go and check out Men 101's video. That is thanks to Magi Alpha One. Basically, it's in the last couple of days, and it is called... What's it called? Female CEO doesn't want women working for her. What's going on, Wong? How you doing? Thomas, whatever might work, my man. And William Hanby, my brother from another mother, another monk. Welcome. All right, guys, I'm gonna bounce for now. It's good to see you all. Appreciate it, including you all, Total Coaching. And I will see you guys in the next video, and I have a good topic hanging out. So if you want to catch that video, you want to be notified of it, hit the subscribe button below, hit the bell next to it. The majority of the people who watch these videos are not yet subscribed, so I encourage you to do so ASAP. I'll see you soon, guys. Peace.